By the 1980s, Bengelia, who adopted the name Baba Vanga, had given thousands of accurate predictions and gained a reputation as the Nostradamus of the Balkans.
Can nature be tricked by an artificial womb? Researchers in Barcelona have created an artificial placenta prototype in the hopes it could help extremely premature babies.
2024 will be an eventful year, as predicted by the late Baba Vanga a long time ago. Nicknamed the Nostradamus of the Balkans, Vanga was believed to have visions of the future, and her prophecies were feared by many, given their track record of accuracy. Just before she died in 1996, she made some very intriguing yet terrifying predictions for 2024 that seem to be unfolding now, further shocking her believers and skeptics. From predictions of natural disasters of epic proportions to groundbreaking breakthroughs in healthcare, let's unveil one by one some of the terrifying realities that Baba Vanga predicted for 2024. Number 15. Secret biological weapons research. The first on our list is Baba Vanga's predictions of a powerful country conducting secret experiments with biological weapons in 2024. Even without a specific date given, the mere idea of a big country secretly testing biological weapons that could cause widespread death and chaos is scary. As we all know, biological weapons are one of the most frightening kinds of weapons because they spread invisibly and are almost impossible to fight against. What makes it even more scary is that the possibility of verifying if a country is really into this will be challenging because, in the first place, it is highly prohibited under the Biological Weapons Convention because of the very dire consequences it'll have. Biological weapons are basically weapons that spread deadly diseases to make people sick or even kill them off in huge numbers.
Now, what would happen if the world faces an even deadlier strain of unknown virus? Or worse, many more such viruses that lie hidden deep within the permafrost.
Just imagine if a country decided to use these kinds of weapons against its enemies or even its people. It would be horrifying. These weapons would also mess with the environment for a long time and will eventually kill animals, even in future generations. But the scariest part is that these weapons have the potential to start worldwide health emergencies and pandemics that cross every border. With how many people travel internationally, the diseases could spread like wildfire across multiple countries before anyone can stop them. Nations' health systems wouldn't be able to cope at all. Sadly, if one country used these terrible weapons, it could start an insane cycle of violence, with other countries retaliating with the same weapons or escalating to even worse warfare. Before you know it, the entire world could erupt into complete chaos and destruction. The consequences are way scarier than the predictions themselves, and we honestly hope it never happens because it'll be devastating. Number 14. Deadly strange disease. Next is Vanga's prophecy that there will be a worldwide pandemic or epidemic disease that will be much worse than the COVID-19 outbreak we saw in 2020. She foresaw this future disease as being deadly and spreading across the globe at a rapid pace, faster and more contagious than anything we've dealt with before. It's quite terrifying to find that in confirmation of her prediction, the World Health Organization, WHO, recently revealed that the world may soon be hit by another dangerous disease which they called Disease X. According to them, this particular disease is different, new and more deadly than the COVID-19 because very little is known about its pathology and there's currently no treatment, which pretty much sounds like a death sentence. There may be no medicines or vaccines to combat it. Now, that has got to be the most scary thing we've heard, because realistically, we haven't fully recovered from the damage COVID has caused. So, another disease that is worse than it sounds like doom. On the other hand, Vanga foresaw former US President Donald Trump contracting a mysterious illness that would lead to brain trauma, which would even make him deaf. But the idea of Trump, or anyone, suffering brain damage and permanently losing their hearing is quite disturbing to imagine. So again, we hope that her predictions don't become realities. Number 13. Assassination of Putin. This next prediction has got to be one of her most chilling predictions. Another of Baba Vanga's most controversial predictions revolves around the fate of Russian President Vladimir Putin. According to Vanga, Putin will be assassinated by one of his countrymen in 2024. This prediction has sparked numerous discussions and debates, especially given the current geopolitical climate and the increasing tensions between Russia and the West. While some people believe in the accuracy of Vanga's predictions, others remain skeptical, arguing that her prophecies are often vague and open to interpretation. However, the idea of an assassination attempt on a world leader is not entirely far-fetched, as history has shown us time and time again. If Vanga's prediction were to come true, it would undoubtedly have significant implications for Russia and the world. The question remains, who among Putin's countrymen would dare to carry out such a bold and dangerous act, and what would be their motivations? Would it be a political rival, a disgruntled military officer, or someone from Putin's inner circle? Number 12. Economic downturn in Europe.
Europe is facing a difficult task: bring down inflation, sustain economic growth, and maintain financial stability.
Buckle up because things are about to get wild. This next prophecy is Europe at the receiving end of her predictions. According to Baba's predictions, Europe will face difficult times in 2024. Now suppose Baba's predictions turn out to be true. In that case, the coming years will be fascinating, as religious extremists are going to cause a lot of trouble across the continent, targeting both regular people and even political leaders. In addition, she always foresaw a massive shift in power throughout Europe. The old guard will make way for new leaders, and the continent's shape will change completely. The most scary thing is that all of this will drastically affect Europe's economy, which will collapse entirely due to pressure from different angles. This will be more bad news as it could have far-reaching consequences, including the displacement of many Europeans from their homes, leading to a drastic drop in the continent's total population. Now, it's pretty interesting that her prediction about the economic suffering of Europe seemed to have been actualized, as Europe is currently dealing with some challenging financial issues. It's a complicated, fascinating situation when you look at all the different factors involved. One of the big problems is that trade is getting more fragmented and supply chains are reshuffled. This is driving up costs for companies and holding back productivity growth, which is already weak in Europe. This fragmentation is likely going to put a big dent in the economy. On top of that, Europe's economy has experienced zero growth since the third quarter of 2022, and the situation has not improved. The Russian-Ukrainian tension isn't helping either, as trade flows have been messed up, and finding alternatives to Russian gas has been very expensive, further adding to the continent's economic burden. Number 11. Designer humans. This next prediction of science's ability to create customized humans made many people happily anticipate and worry about the implications and societal consequences. Baba Vanga's prediction of designer humans can be understood as the idea that by 2024, it may be possible to create human beings artificially in laboratories. This involves genetically engineering or designing babies with specific desired traits before their birth. There are a couple of ways this could theoretically occur based on advancements in reproductive technology and genetic science. Firstly, advancements in fertility treatments such as in vitro fertilization, IVF, combined with artificial womb technology, could allow for the complete designing of babies outside of the natural womb. This would enable parents to select specific genetic characteristics. Secondly, developing new genetic engineering tools like CRISPR has made it possible to edit genes precisely. This technology could be utilized to modify the DNA of embryos, thereby allowing for the engineering of traits such as intelligence, appearance, athletic ability, and more, even before the baby is born. While the idea of designer babies may sound like music to the ear, the concept of creating designer babies raises critical ethical questions, as people are worried that it could lead to practices like eugenics, discrimination, misuse, and even extremism, like in her next prediction. Number 10. End of natural births. Not stopping at her prediction of designer humans, Baba predicted that natural births will ultimately end this year, as humans will be completely reliant on laboratory babies. I agree that there is a possibility of humans tilting to science babies, especially after some successful attempts. However, we still have a long way to go in accepting it entirely, considering that the consequences, cons, and extent are unknown. Even if there were to be an agreement, it would take years or even forever for all humans to agree in unison. So, this projection seems unlikely to arrive. Keep those eyes glued to the screen because what's coming next will leave you on the edge of your seat. Number 9. Cyber attacks. Who would have thought that our reliance on technology and cyber power would put us in a vulnerable position with our safety in the balance? According to Baba Vanga's predictions, there is a forecasted increase in cyber attacks in 2024. She predicted hackers would become more adept and target critical infrastructure, including power grids and water treatment plants. These cyber attacks can cause widespread disruption and instability and endanger national security. Sadly, true to her predictions, in 2024, cyber attacks will be increasingly severe and complex as attackers have upgraded their tactics. One of the most concerning and prevalent developments is the rise of AI-driven social engineering attacks. Cyber criminals are leveraging artificial intelligence to create highly convincing scams that are difficult to detect, tricking unsuspecting victims into revealing sensitive information or granting access to their systems. Ransomware attacks have also become more frequent and targeted, with high-profile organizations often falling victim to these malicious campaigns. It's even worse because the increasing sophistication of these attacks makes them particularly challenging to prevent. The most scary thing is that criminals use zero-day exploits and advanced persistent threats, APTs, to perpetrate their evil, which could go undetected for a long time. Now imagine being under attack for a long time without knowing. That you agree with them will be catastrophic as you're at the mercy of these people, and they could decide to strike at any time. Our complete reliance on the Internet of Things technology makes it even more worrying, as these people could choose to hack into anything at any time, jeopardizing our safety. Crazy times we're in. Number 8. Unethical surveillance. Just when we thought cybercrime was the worst, she predicted that this year, there'd be a rise in unethical surveillance. Imagine your every move and activity being monitored via the technologies. The mere thought of it is chilling, because it'd mean there's no hiding place for anyone, and we're at the mercy of evil manipulators. The internet and technologies have made unethical surveillance much more accessible to pull off. Everything is so connected now, and technology has advanced to the extent that these digital devices can collect loads of personal data without permission. It's more disturbing because these surveillance folks have gotten pretty good at using all these advancements to their advantage. Surveillance technologies have advanced rapidly in recent years, with the rise of facial recognition systems, data collection, and artificial intelligence. While these technologies can have legitimate uses in enhancing security and public safety, their misuse or unethical application can lead to privacy violations and potential abuses of power. All that personal data of our digital footprints makes it much easier for those snoops to gather sensitive info without asking. And this on its own is a breach of our freedom, as when all this data is collected, there's a real risk of it being misused and used against us, which means that absolutely no one on Earth is safe from the grip of these wicked people. Now, sit tight because the plot twist is around the corner. Number 7. Cancer cure.
Let's talk about something a little more cheerful or hopeful. There has been a breakthrough in cancer cure. A clinical drug trial recently healed.
Hold on to your seats because the most anticipated moment in medical science is about to unfold. Should this next prediction of Baba Vanga happen, it'll be a huge plus to the health sector and a huge relief to humans at large, as this has been one of our most dreaded enemies. Baba Vanga predicted that by 2024, a cure to cancer will be found thanks to quantum computing. Though there have been reasonable achievements towards this direction, like immunotherapy, where the body's immune system is made to recognize and attack cancer cells. Targeted therapies, where the growth and survival of cancer cells are disrupted through specific molecular targets. Gene therapy. Liquid biopsies, where circulating tumor DNA and other biomarkers in a patient's blood are analyzed to enable early detection, monitoring treatment response, and identifying potential drug targets. There's hope that with the ability of quantum computing to process vast amounts of data and perform complex calculations, it could potentially accelerate drug discovery, optimize treatment plans, and enhance our understanding of cancer biology. which will ultimately result in the discovery of a final cure to the monster called cancer. We can't wait for that to happen. Number 6. Severe climate change. Baba Vanga predicted that in 2024, there would be severe climate changes with devastating natural disasters like tsunamis, monsoons, hurricanes, and tornadoes. While it's essential to approach predictions with caution, it's clear that climate change is already affecting our world. Scientists agree that human activities like burning fossil fuels and cutting down forests are causing global warming, leading to various consequences. As the Earth heats up, ice caps melt, causing sea levels to rise and increasing the risk of coastal flooding. This can make tsunamis even more destructive. Changing weather patterns due to climate change can also make storms more intense. Warmer ocean temperatures fuel the formation of powerful hurricanes and tornadoes, which can bring heavy rainfall and strong winds, resulting in widespread damage and loss of life. There's a specific prophecy about a mega tsunami that will supposedly hit Asia.
26th of December 2004, a date etched in our memory. It was on this day that the world woke up to one of the deadliest natural disasters in recorded history.
And it is even said to be the most devastating one since 2004. The question her prediction didn't answer was exactly where in Asia the disaster will strike. She also said the Pacific Rim will experience a major earthquake. Of course, we know the devastation that'll be left in its wake. We have already witnessed the devastating impacts of these extreme weather events in recent years, and we know how catastrophic they were. So while Baba Vanga's prediction may seem unbelievable, exaggerated, or inaccurate, it's a wake-up call for us to take action to minimize the severity and frequency of extreme weather events. Number 5. Cure for Alzheimer's. This year is an excellent year for the health sector. In addition to Baba Vanga's prediction of a cure for cancer, she also predicted that a cure to the dreaded chronic disease, popularly known as Alzheimer's, would be found. Alzheimer's is one disease health practitioners have fought tooth and nail to find a cure to, all to no avail. According to statistics, as of 2020, over 55 million people were living with dementia, and experts think that number could skyrocket to 78 million by 2030, and a whopping 139 million by 2050. What's even scarier is that Alzheimer's is a leading cause of death for seniors. In fact, in 2021, it was the 5th leading cause of death for people 65 and up. 1 in 3 seniors died with Alzheimer's or another form of dementia, which is more than breast cancer and prostate cancer deaths combined. And this number is not showing signs of reducing any time soon. Now, since it is a sickness that one can live with for a very long time, sometimes stretching to as long as 20 years, it takes a huge toll on the finances of the patients or their caregivers. We're talking of an average of $400,000, a considerable sum of money to spend on something without a cure. So when you look at all these statistics and the impact Alzheimer's is having on so many lives, finding a cure would be one of the best gifts to humanity. We do hope. Number 4. Solar storm Vanga also predicted that in 2024, we could experience the worst solar storm in history. Solar storms happen when the sun releases bursts of energy like electrical charges, magnetic fields, and radiation out into space. Most of the time, these storms don't affect us much here. But Vanga's prophecy suggests this particular storm in 2024 could be so massive and powerful that it may have severe consequences for our modern way of life. Imagine if the storm was strong enough to disrupt our technology and electrical systems. It could cause widespread blackouts across large regions as the electrical grids get fried by solar radiation. And if the damage was bad enough to last for a while, that's where things could get chaotic. Think about our dependence on power and technology for everything: working, communicating, banking, and entertainment. If that all suddenly goes down for an extended period, it could create many problems and turmoil in society as people panic about not having access to necessities. Number 3. Change in Earth orbit. The Earth orbits around the Sun in an oval-shaped path called an elliptical orbit. On average, the world is about 93 million miles from the Sun. This precise distance, combined with the gravitational pull between the two objects, keeps the Earth steadily orbiting the Sun year after year. Now, if something were to significantly disrupt or alter Earth's normal orbital path around the Sun, it would have enormous consequences for our planet and all its living things. The distance between the world and the Sun determines how much sunlight we get. So if the Earth somehow got pushed closer to the Sun, it would absorb much more of the Sun's scorching energy and heat up dramatically. This intense warming could make global warming worse. That's not all. This orbital change would also mess up the weather, resulting in extraordinary and extreme weather events like a mix-up in the rain and snow patterns, increased storms and droughts, and difficulty forecasting. Not stopping there, this would ultimately result in a rise in sea levels, as the gravity from the Sun would affect the oceans differently, which could cause severe and unpredictable floods in coastal areas. Number 2. Alien visitation. Baba Vanga also prophesied that humanity would make first contact with alien life in 2024. While such predictions should be viewed skeptically, recent developments have lent credibility to her claim. NASA and the Mexican government released UFO information, which has reignited interest in Vanga's prophecy. More intriguing, top experts like astrophysicists and astronauts have hinted that a groundbreaking scientific paper providing strong evidence of biological signatures in an exoplanet's atmosphere could emerge soon. Specifically, they suggest this potential discovery may involve detecting combinations of gases like methane and oxygen or methane and carbon dioxide, combinations that indicate conditions conducive to life. The elite James Webb Space Telescope has been central to these exoplanet observations. One promising candidate is K218b, an exoplanet 8.6 times more massive than Earth with potential oceans and an atmosphere rich in hydrogen mixed with dimethyl sulfide, a molecule associated with life on Earth. While NASA hasn't confirmed any revolutionary findings yet, evidence uncovered by JWST could lead to the first conclusive identification of biosignatures revealing habitable exoplanets and alien life, precisely what the late Baba Vanga foretold would occur in 2024. Number 1. Increase in use of AI. According to Vanga, AI will become increasingly prevalent in various aspects of our lives, from healthcare and education to transportation and entertainment. At the moment, it is evident that AI is already playing a significant role in shaping our world. From virtual assistants like Siri and Alexa to self-driving cars and personalized medicine, AI transforms how we live, work, and interact with technology. The question is, what is the extent of integration, and what would be its consequence? The rapid advancements in AI technology suggest that Vanga's prediction may not be far from reality. With the increasing availability of big data, powerful computing resources, and sophisticated algorithms, AI systems are becoming more intelligent, efficient, and autonomous. This could lead to breakthroughs in healthcare, where AI-powered diagnostic tools and personalized treatments could revolutionize patient care. On the other hand, the widespread adoption of AI also raises concerns about privacy, security, and the ethical implications of relying on machines to make critical decisions.
Some of this morning's headlines now from around the globe. USA Today has good news for all. Know The Simpsons live in Springfield, and the Oregonian reports their hometown is based on Springfield, Oregon. Simpsons creator Matt Groening grew up not far from there. He was inspired by another television show set in a town called Springfield.
The Simpsons show is like a crystal ball for the future. Over the years, this iconic series has dropped predictions that seemed absurd at the time, but later turned into real-world headlines.
This is Kent Brockman reporting to you on a crisis so serious it has its own name and theme music. The Dome has put an end to life as we know it. The town is running low on supplies of everything from gasoline to Botox.
From tech gadgets we now can't live without to shocking global tragedies, The Simpsons has been right all along. But among the countless prophecies, some stand out as the most historical. Which of the show's prophecies fall into this category? In this video, we will reveal the top 20 predictions of The Simpsons. Don Mattingly's hair. In 1992, The Simpsons aired an episode titled Homer at the Bat.
In 1992, Don Mattingly appeared on an episode of The Simpsons called Homer at Bat,
which became a classic partly because of its humor and its lineup of famous baseball players from the time. One standout moment involved Don Mattingly getting benched by Mr. Burns for refusing to trim his sideburns, even though he clearly didn't have any. The joke worked so well because of how absurd it was, but what made it even more interesting was how closely it mirrored something from Mattingly's real life. In 1991, Mattingly found himself in trouble with the Yankees because of his hair. The team had strict grooming rules, and Mattingly's longer hair didn't fit the look they wanted. He was fined, and even removed from the roster briefly for not cutting it. He eventually agreed to get a haircut, but the whole situation became a talking point. What makes this connection so fascinating is that the Simpsons episode was recorded before Mattingly's real-life hair drama. The coincidence added another layer to the joke and made it even more memorable for fans. This is just one of many accurate predictions. Stay tuned to find out more.
Mattingly, get rid of those sideburns.
What sideburns?
You heard me, hippie. Mattingly, for the last time, get rid of those sideburns.
Look, Mr. Burns.
NSA Spying. In The Simpsons show, the family escapes an angry mob in Springfield after Homer's actions lead to the town being sealed under a giant dome. They flee to Alaska, but Marge and the kids decide to return to help save Springfield. On their way back, there's a moment that stands out. Lisa reassures Marge, saying the government isn't listening to everyone's conversations, only for the scene to cut to a massive NSA surveillance operation tracking their every word. It's played for laughs, but feels eerily close to reality. Years later, in 2013, Edward Snowden revealed the extent of the NSA's surveillance programs. These programs were designed to monitor communications globally, gathering data from phone calls, emails, and more. The public was shocked by how widespread this monitoring was. What makes this Simpsons moment so striking is how it mirrored real concerns about privacy and government surveillance before they became widely known. This scene went from a clever joke to something that hit much closer to home once Snowden's revelations came to light. Canadian legalizing marijuana. In the 2005 episode Midnight RX, Homer and his friends head to Canada to buy cheaper medication, but the trip takes an unexpected turn when Ned Flanders meets his Canadian counterpart. At first, the two bond over their wholesome personalities, but things quickly change when the Canadian version of Ned casually offers him marijuana, calling it legal here. The real Ned is horrified and immediately calls him a satanic temptation before storming off. At the time, this scene was nothing more than a joke, as marijuana was still illegal in Canada except for medical use. Fast forward to 2018, and Canada made headlines by passing the Cannabis Act.
The Cannabis Act may officially roll out tomorrow, but that doesn't mean New Yorkers can drive over the border and legally purchase recreational pot from a dispensary.
Fully legalizing marijuana for recreational use across the country. This decision made Canada one of the first major countries to take such a step. What started as a humorous jab on The Simpsons ended up being a reality years later. The joke about legal marijuana in Canada suddenly felt like a moment where fiction aligned with real-world changes in surprising ways. Zombie apocalypse. In Treehouse of Horror XX, The Simpsons imagined a zombie apocalypse triggered by a food disaster. The chaos began with a product called Burger Square, created from cannibalistic cows. When Kent Brockman took a bite, he transformed into a mindless, ravenous creature, spreading the infection throughout Springfield. The town quickly fell into chaos, with residents turning into zombies driven by insatiable hunger. The Simpson family fought to survive, with Bart proving to be mysteriously immune to the outbreak. While zombies may seem unrealistic, the concept of a food-related crisis is not. Foodborne illnesses, unsafe farming practices, and risky food production methods have shown how fragile the global food supply can be. Outbreaks of E. coli, salmonella, and other deadly pathogens have already caused widespread concern. The episode also highlighted how panic spreads when food safety is compromised, creating a domino effect of fear and chaos. Cypress Hill meets Symphony. If you look back at the 1996 episode titled Homer Palooza, you'll see that The Simpsons took a playful jab at music festival culture, featuring a scene where a producer asks if anyone ordered the London Symphony Orchestra. He then turns to Cypress Hill, a hip-hop group, and the band jokingly decides to collaborate. What follows is a surreal mix of Insane in the Brain with classical music, which even Marge enthusiastically approves of. The scene's humor lies in the absurdity of pairing a hip-hop act with a world-renowned orchestra, something that felt like pure parody at the time. Fast forward to 2024, and reality caught up with fiction. Cypress Hill, known for their iconic sound, announced a performance with the London Symphony Orchestra at the Royal Albert Hall in England. This wasn't their first time combining hip-hop with classical music, as they had worked with orchestras in the US before. The Simpsons' comedic take on this unlikely pairing ended up foreshadowing an actual event, proving once again how the show has a knack for turning what seems improbable into reality. Gagas Flight. In 2012, The Simpsons aired an episode called Lisa Goes Gaga, where Lady Gaga visits Springfield to boost the town's spirits. During her performance, she wears a silver outfit and uses cables to fly above the crowd.
Lady Gaga get her inspiration for her Super Bowl halftime show from, of all things, The Simpsons? With uncanny accuracy, 4 years ago, the show actually predicted she'd fly through the air. Just look at the similarities from the 2012 episode.
Showcasing her over-the-top style. The scene, full of humor and exaggeration, fit perfectly with Gaga's reputation for bold, theatrical performances. At the time, it felt like a fun parody of her unique stage presence and creative costumes. 5 years later, reality mirrored animation during Lady Gaga's Super Bowl halftime show. Dressed in a sparkling silver outfit and boots, she started her performance perched high above the stadium. With cables supporting her, she descended onto the stage, creating a dramatic entrance that felt straight out of her Simpsons appearance. The resemblance between the show and her real-life performance was hard to ignore, especially with the similar use of cables and costumes. What began as a playful take on Gaga's celebrity life turned into a surprisingly accurate depiction of one of her most iconic moments: Trump's presidency. The Simpsons once aired an episode in 2000 that imagined a future where Lisa became the President of the United States. During her presidency, she faced a significant financial crisis passed down from her predecessor, who happened to be President Trump. In the scene, Lisa meets with her team to discuss the financial situation, and it's revealed that the country is completely out of money. This moment stood out as a playful jab at politics, but gained new meaning when Donald Trump actually won the presidency in 2016. Bart's future in the same episode was a sharp contrast to Lisa's. He was depicted as a middle-aged slacker, still aimless, and living with Ralph Wiggum. While Bart struggled to get his life together, Lisa had risen to the highest office in the town, taking on responsibilities that included cleaning up after Trump's administration. When Trump's election became a reality, The Simpsons responded with a chalkboard gag reflecting their surprise at being right, solidifying the episode as one of their most memorable predictions. AI taking over jobs. Mr. Burns decided to replace his power plant workers with robots in one episode in 2012, leaving Homer and his co-workers without jobs. The robots, trained by humans, quickly proved they could handle the tasks more efficiently, making the employees obsolete. What seemed like an amusing exaggeration at the time now feels more like a glimpse into reality. By 2025, artificial intelligence is transforming industries at an incredible pace. Restaurants in countries like Japan are using robots to serve meals, while self-driving cars are beginning to take over the role of taxi drivers. AI tools are being used in areas like coding, graphic design, and even financial analysis, replacing traditional roles. Programs such as ChatGPT have become essential for businesses looking to save money, often at the expense of human jobs. The idea of machines reshaping the workforce is no longer fiction. It is becoming part of daily life. The most amazing part of the video is just ahead: Nobel Prize in Economics. The Nobel Prize announcements took center stage in a 2010 episode of The Simpsons. During a scene where Lisa and her friends are watching the ceremony, Martin celebrates as his pick in the economics category wins. The betting table reveals Milhouse's bet on a specific economist, Bengt R. Holmstrom. At the time, this felt like a fun, fictional moment, but in 2016, it became a surprising reality. Holmstrom, alongside Oliver Hart, was awarded the Nobel Prize in Economic Sciences for their groundbreaking work on contract theory.
This year's Nobel Prize in Economic Sciences has been awarded to British-born Oliver Hart and Finland-born Bengt Holmström for their contributions to contract theory.
The episode's prediction was one of those wild, almost impossible to believe moments where the show seemed to foresee a future Nobel winner. While the episode took a lighthearted approach to the prestigious awards, it turned out that Milhouse's choice was right on the money. This wasn't just another random joke. It became a true instance of fiction aligning with reality, leaving fans in disbelief at the show's accuracy. FIFA Controversy. In The Simpsons episode You Don't Have to Live Like a Referee, the show took aim at FIFA with a satirical look at corruption within international soccer. The plot featured corrupt officials being arrested, humorously highlighting the bribery and scandal that had long plagued the sport. Just a few years after the episode aired in 2014, real-life FIFA executives were arrested on similar charges, proving how on point the show's predictions were. As we reach 2025, FIFA is still tangled in controversy. The aftermath of the 2018 and 2022 World Cup bids continues to stir debates about fairness, transparency, and ethical practices in the sport. The show even predicted Brazil's heavy loss to Germany in the 2014 World Cup semifinals, making its mix of humor and reality even more uncanny. Homer's stand against bribery was a humorous moment, but it also highlights the difficulty of keeping the sport free from scandal in the real world. Daenerys Rampage. The final season of Game of Thrones got people talking for all the wrong reasons.
The soothsayers at The Simpsons have done it again. This time, they correctly predicted the ending to the most recent episode of Game of Thrones.
One of the most shocking moments was Daenerys Targaryen's turn in the episode The Bells. With her dragon Drogon, she destroys King's Landing, turning it into ashes. Fans were stunned by how fast her character changed, but the scene also reminded some of a moment from The Simpsons. In 2017, 2 years before this Game of Thrones episode aired, The Simpsons released The Surfsons, a parody of fantasy stories. In the episode, Homer brings a dragon back to life. Soon after, the dragon goes on a rampage, flying over the town and setting everything on fire. The chaos left behind looked a lot like what happened in King's Landing. Fans noticed how closely the two scenes matched: a dragon, fire raining down, and a town in ruins. Some even joked that Game of Thrones writers might have been inspired by The Simpsons. The timing of the two moments made this comparison hard to ignore and gave fans another thing to talk about: Disney buying Fox. Disney buying Fox was one of the biggest deals in entertainment history, but The Simpsons had already hinted at it years earlier. In an episode where Homer takes on a bizarre new job, he befriends Kim Basinger, Alec Baldwin, and Ron Howard. Acting as their assistant, Homer pitches a strange movie idea about a killer robot driving instructor who travels back in time. While the idea gets plenty of laughs, the real standout moment comes when Ron Howard takes the screenplay to 20th Century Fox. In a quick shot of the Fox studio lot, there's a sign above the entrance that reads, "A division of Walt Disney Company." At the time, it seemed like a clever joke, but fast forward to 2019, and Disney officially purchased 20th Century Fox. This deal made Disney the owners of major franchises and, of course, The Simpsons. Fans were quick to remember this episode after the merger. Once again, The Simpsons had made an unlikely prediction that actually came true, adding to its reputation for eerily accurate moments. Horsemeat scandal. In 2013, Europe faced a major scandal when horsemeat was found in food products that were labeled as beef. The controversy shook the food industry, with investigations revealing how widespread the issue was. Shockingly, this bizarre moment in history was hinted at years earlier in an episode of The Simpsons. In the 1994 episode Sweet Seymour Skinner's Badass Song, Santa's little helper causes chaos after being brought to school by Bart for show and tell. The real twist comes when the dog finds himself in the school kitchen. While sniffing around, viewers catch a quick shot of lunch lady Doris cooking with a container labeled horse meat. The label even mentions extra intimate pieces, with a cheeky comment about iron content. At the time, the gag seemed like a funny exaggeration about cafeteria food, but years later, the real-life horsemeat scandal gave the joke a strange new meaning. People couldn't help but point out how The Simpsons had once again joked about something long before it made headlines. The Godfather Part 3. The Simpsons loved making fun of movies, and they didn't miss the chance to take a shot at The Godfather Part 3. In the 2001 episode Worst Episode Ever, Bart and Milhouse sneak into comic book guy's secret collection of movies. Among the strange titles, there was one that grabbed attention. It was called Godfather 3 Good Version. This playful dig was aimed at the third film in the famous trilogy, which many fans felt was not as strong as the first two. Years later, in 2020, Paramount decided to revisit the movie. They released The Godfather Coda, The Death of Michael Corleone, a re-edited version of the 1990 film. Francis Ford Coppola worked on this new version, and Al Pacino also showed his support for it. They believed the updated cut gave the movie a fresh perspective and solved some of its earlier problems. Fans seemed to appreciate this new take on the story, and some even said it felt closer to the level of the first two films. We bet that at this point, you're on the edge of your seat, and the predictions are about to get more shocking. Springfield legalizes gambling. Springfield decided to legalize gambling to boost its economy, and soon, Mr. Burns opened his own casino. One of the big attractions at the casino was a magician duo called Gunter and Ernst, who performed with a white tiger named Anastasia. During one of their shows, Anastasia suddenly remembers her capture and her life in the wild. This flashback sets her off, and she attacks Gunter and Ernst right in the middle of their performance. This scene was a clear parody of Siegfried and Roy, the famous duo known for their magic shows with white lions and tigers. Sadly, about a decade after this episode aired, a similar incident happened in real life. While performing at the MGM Grand, Roy was attacked by a 400-pound Siberian tiger named Manticore. The attack left him with severe injuries, forcing him to retire. Though he survived, the incident marked the end of their live performances and remains one of the most talked about moments in entertainment history. Space travel. In a 1999 episode of The Simpsons, Richard Branson's space flight was predicted long before it actually happened. During the episode, Homer and Lisa travel to Puerto Rico to prove that a painting Homer bought for just $20 isn't a fake. While talking to an art forger named Klaus Ziegler, the show briefly cuts to Richard Branson in space. At the time, private space travel was something people only dreamed about. This quick moment happened 7 years before Branson's actual Virgin Galactic flight in 2021. The show didn't make a big deal out of the cutaway, but it's clear now that they were showing a glimpse of the future of space travel. Branson's mission was the start of a new chapter in space tourism, something that seemed impossible back then. What makes this prediction interesting is how The Simpsons slipped it in so casually, with no fanfare. It wasn't the focus of the episode, yet it turned out to be right about Branson's space journey years before it happened. Faulty voting machines. In a 2008 Halloween episode of The Simpsons, Homer tries to vote for Barack Obama in the presidential election, but the voting machine keeps registering his vote for John McCain. As Homer struggles with the machine, he gets frustrated and says, "This machine is rigged. Must tell President McCain this doesn't happen in America." While this was a funny and over-the-top moment in the show, it turned out to be eerily similar to real-life events during the 2012 presidential election. In that election, footage surfaced of a voter trying to cast a vote for Obama, but the machine would select Mitt Romney instead. The situation in Ohio was widely reported, with many noticing the strange resemblance to Homer's voting machine problem. The episode was fictional, but it seemed to predict the kind of glitches that could happen with electronic voting machines. It was an unexpected prediction of a real issue in the election, showing how The Simpsons can sometimes capture future events in the most unexpected ways. Smartwatches. Back in 1995, an episode of The Simpsons gave viewers a glimpse of the future through Lisa's story. In this episode, Lisa, as an adult in 2010, finds herself in a world where technology has evolved in surprising ways. Among these changes, two standout moments caught attention. First, when Lisa calls her mom, Marge, it's through a video phone. Marge, unprepared for being seen, reacts hilariously, forgetting how the camera works. It's a fun twist that highlighted how such technology could feel new and unfamiliar. Another interesting detail is during Hugh's proposal to Lisa. Instead of pulling out a traditional ring box or going down on one knee, he uses a sleek, smart device that resembles today's smartwatches. This tiny gadget is not just a watch, but also a communication tool, combining convenience with technology in a way that felt ahead of its time. Both moments gave a creative nod to innovations we now take for granted, showing how such ideas felt futuristic decades ago. These scenes are fun reminders of how far we've come. There's more to find out. Late Beetle post. Marge Simpson's artistic journey took an unexpected turn in brush with greatness. Her love for painting seemed unstoppable until she mailed a portrait of Ringo Starr, hoping for his thoughts. Years went by with no reply, and Marge slowly lost her drive to create. The canvas sat untouched as she moved on with her life, her passion buried under the weight of silence. Decades later, something very shocking happened. Ringo, while sorting through old fan mail, stumbled upon Marge's forgotten artwork. Moved by her effort, he penned a heartfelt note, praising her talent and even hanging the portrait on his wall. That small gesture reignited Marge's creativity, proving how impactful recognition can be, even years later. Interestingly, this moment mirrored a real-life story. In 1963, two fans sent a taped message to the Beatles that never reached them. More years after, the recording surfaced and made its way to Paul McCartney in 2013. He responded warmly, closing a loop that had been open for 50 years. The parallels between these tales highlight the timeless power of connection and gratitude. World War III.
Wake up, everybody! It's World War III! Quick, down to the fallout shelter. The bombs are dropping!
In the year 2000, The Simpsons aired an episode that depicted a grim future, imagining the outbreak of World War III. The episode showed chaos everywhere as people ran for safety while bombs rained down. What once seemed like an exaggerated scenario now feels eerily close to reality. Global tensions are higher than ever, with ongoing conflicts such as the war between Russia and Ukraine and unrest across the Middle East fueling division. Major powers like the United States, China, and Russia remain locked in a complex web of alliances and rivalries, making the idea of a large-scale war less far-fetched. The episode also featured Lisa Simpson as president, stepping into office after Donald Trump. Her struggles to manage a crumbling budget served as a commentary on the challenges of leadership during times of crisis. The world in 2025 seems to mirror some of these elements, with economic instability, political unrest, and rising global tensions, creating a sense of unease that feels uncomfortably familiar to the show's prediction. When that was out of the way, she warmly greets the actor before revealing that her mother had a crush on Tom Cruise 30 years ago and playfully admits that she shares the same admiration for the actor. Upon hearing this, Cruise responded in a lighthearted and jesting manner, telling her he hopes her dad is okay with both his wife and daughter having a crush on him. Cruise's humorous reply has gone viral on social media, earning the actor more points for being friendly and easygoing. The internet is excited, as people can't get enough of his witty retort as he blushes at the comments made by the woman. Since being shared, the post has garnered an impressive 2.8 million views and received 4.7 likes. One user affectionately described Tom as a generational crush, while another user playfully noted that Tom has become a villain for the woman's dad. Grace also attached a long caption to the video, describing how she had the sweetest moment with Tom Cruise at his Mission Impossible 7 premiere.
Cheers and applause coming from a Mission Impossible movie. After all, there are over-the-top action sequences and special effects, but the cheers and applause coming from a screening of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part.
She pointed out how much meeting the star meant to her because she had loved him as an actor and his movies since high school. His undivided attention to listen to her story, him reaching out to squeeze her hand gently, it all made her feel like she was the only person there. She also added that he returned to her to check that she had taken the perfect photo of them after he had already moved on to other fans. That's not all. Another Instagram user commended her for sharing her story before such a legendary figure, expressing admiration for Tom's attentive and classy demeanor. Knowing how busy celebrities always were at events like the one Grace had met Tom, fans were amazed at the actor's choice to give Grace as much attention as she needed. Someone else praised Tom for his listening skills and explained why he is indeed a movie star. Being able to listen wasn't just a good trait in acting, but in a person's day-to-day life, and fans of the actor were glad to know his good qualities weren't just for the camera. A fifth user humorously shared that they would have been speechless if they were in her shoes, forgetting how to speak in front of Tom. But then, who wouldn't be? Another user humorously added, "My man stole both the generations," appreciating Tom's timeless charm. Grace's affection towards the actor was seen as natural due to the fact that almost every woman on the planet has had and still has a crush on Tom, but hearing about her mother's crush fascinated the fans. A 30-year-long crush was all that was needed to solidify Tom's charm and ability to make women swoon over him. Not long after the meeting with Grace, Tom surprised moviegoers at theaters in several locations, greeting fans who showed up to see the latest installment in his popular action franchise, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1.
Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning, and it's, I really do encourage people to see it on a big screen because the sound, the colors, the immersive experience and communal and community experience is there for everyone.
Thanking fans for being there for the screening, Cruise added, as seen in video footage shared by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, that he knows the fans definitely dream of moments like this, and it felt amazing for him to be a part of it. He also told them he hopes they enjoy the film because the main reason it was made was for them, his fans. Tom's interactions with his fans has made the actor well known and deeply loved all over the world, as his fans always keep hope alive that they will one day get to meet their favorite star. The ones that have already been lucky enough to meet him hope to be able to do so again, and this time around, get to maybe have coffee or even a drink with him. Being loved as a movie star and as an individual appears to be a big feat for Tom Cruise, and his ever-loyal fanbase can't agree less. Contrary to what is widely believed about fame changing a person, Tom has proven to be the opposite. But how did he get to become such a popularly known and loved superstar with such a strong fan base? Stay tuned because this next part is sure to keep you glued to your screens. Tom Cruise, the man and his fame. Dating back to the 1980s, Tom Cruise has been one of the most prominent movie stars in all of Hollywood. After developing an interest in acting during high school, he rocketed to fame with his turns in Risky Business and Top Gun, earning himself a place in the big leagues. Cruise has since become an action movie veteran, counting the Mission Impossible franchise, Edge of Tomorrow, and Top Gun Maverick among his many successes. The four-time Oscar nominee has also earned acclaim for his performance in Born on the 4th of July, Jerry Maguire, and Magnolia. Off the silver screen, Cruise is one of the most high-profile members of the Church of Scientology and has been married to fellow actors Nicole Kidman and Katie Holmes. But who was Cruise before all these happened? Let's dive deeper into the life of the movie star. Thomas Cruise Mapother IV, better known as Tom Cruise, was born on July 3, 1962, in Syracuse, New York. The third of four children, Tom was the only son of Mary Lee South and Thomas Cruise Mapother III. Which of these predictions do you think is most accurate? Let us know what you think in the comments section. Do not forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Click on the next video displayed on your screen. You will enjoy it.